With Guardians of the Galaxy hitting theaters, Marvel is heading into the final leg of its Phase 2 slate. So let's catch up on what's been going on in the MCU. Spoilers obviously follow. Here's the story so far for Marvel's Phase 2. Things kicked off with Iron Man 3, where Tony Stark was still reeling from the events of the Avengers. It seems fighting an invading alien horde, flying through a wormhole into space, and almost sacrificing yourself via nuclear explosion takes a toll on a guy. So he's built a ton of new Iron Man suits here because, insomnia. Meanwhile, a new threat has emerged. A shadowy figure called the Mandarin has been orchestrating a series of terrorist bombings. Iron Man is pissed, and he issues a challenge to the Mandarin, which the villain takes him up on, promptly blowing up his awesome seaside mansion, and his cute little robots too. Luckily, Tony's AI Jarvis is able to get him to safety. Well, to Tennessee at least. But with his armor out of commission, all Tony has is his smarts and a new kid sidekick to uncover the truth about the bombings. Because he just can't call the Avengers for some reason. Just go with it, okay? It turns out the explosions were all the result of AIM scientists Aldrich Killian and Maya Hansen's experimental treatment called Extremis. Killian used this serum to give war vets superpowers, but it sometimes also had the side effect of turning them into, living bombs. With this knowledge in hand, Stark makes his way to the Mandarin's headquarters, which he infiltrates 1980s action movie style, with a dab of MacGyver too. Only once he gets in, he finds that the Mandarin is just a confused actor playing a part. It was Killian who was the actual puppet master of the whole operation all along, at which point a million fanboys cried out in terror at this deviation from the source material. Side note, eventually the short film All Hail the King would reveal that Killian wasn't the Mandarin either, and that the real deal is still out there somewhere. Unfortunately, Tony also finds that his girlfriend Pepper Potts has been kidnapped by Killian and exposed to Extremis. Teaming up with his pal Rhodey, Tony is finally able to summon his fleet of Iron Man armors in a battle with Killian, which ends with a now superpowered Pepper taking the bad guy out for a change. Tony then destroys all his armor, has the shrapnel removed from his chest, fixes Extremis, cures Pepper, and recovers his cute little robots. Next up was Thor: The Dark World, which started with a flashback to a battle from ages ago. Thor's grandfather Bor is seen defeating the Dark Elf Malekith, who sought a powerful weapon called the Ether. Bor hides the Ether while the Dark Elf escapes to bide his time over the coming millennia. Back in the present, Thor's kinda sorta girlfriend Jane Foster is doing her scientist thing in London when she stumbles upon the long-hidden Ether, and promptly fuses with it. Bad idea. This leads Thor to finally return to Earth and Jane, which means he has to explain why he can manage to come back to hang with the Avengers, but not with his kinda sorta girlfriend. Still, the Thunder God makes up for it by taking Jane to Asgard to meet his parents, and to figure out this whole infected by the Ether thing. But the return of the super weapon also means the return of Malekith, who awakens from Cloud City Carbonite and stages a major attack on Asgard in search of the Ether. The Dark Elf and his servant Curse wind up fleeing without their prize, but not before they kill Thor's mom. At least we got to see how kick-ass she could be before she went. So now Thor must team with his estranged brother Loki to avenge their mother and also save Jane, and the universe in fact, for a rare cosmic event called the Convergence is conveniently approaching, which will link the 9 realms together and allow Malekith to destroy everything and send reality into darkness. Because if you're a Dark Elf, what's better than complete and utter darkness? The brothers confront Malekith on the Dark Elf's homeworld, with Loki sacrificing himself as Jane is freed from the Ether. But Malekith escapes, now having merged with the gooey super weapon himself. Thor promises the dying Loki that he will tell Odin of his brother's last act of bravery. He and Jane then head back to Earth where a final battle of realm-jumping craziness takes place, culminating with the God of Thunder quite literally taking his enemy apart, and a reminder that a Thunder God's best friend is his hammer. Once the dust settles, the Ether is sent to presumptive safety with the wacky alien the Collector. Thor chooses Jane and Earth over the throne of Asgard, and Loki is revealed to in fact still be alive and impersonating his father as king, because one does not simply kill off Tom Hiddleston. Next up is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Cap is now working for Nick Fury as a globe-trotting agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. with a spiffy new uniform. But while on a mission with fellow agents Romanoff and Rumlow, Cap realizes that Fury is keeping secrets from him. Cap confronts the S.H.I.E.L.D. director, who reveals Project Insight, a new initiative that came about in the wake of the attack on New York. 3 super helicarriers will soon be launched with the express intent of taking out threats before they can even become threats. This doesn't sit well with Captain Goody Two-Shoes, but there isn't much time to argue over it. Soon enough, a mysterious assassin called the Winter Soldier seemingly kills Fury, but before he apparently dies, the eye patch tells Cap that S.H.I.E.L.D. has been compromised. Next thing he knows, Cap is beating up like a dozen S.H.I.E.L.D. agents on an elevator and is a fugitive from the law. Fury's boss, Alexander Pierce, is now calling the shots, and he wants Cap eliminated. He's also the one behind the Winter Soldier, who it turns out is actually a brainwashed Bucky, Captain America's old partner from World War II. Cap and Black Widow go on the run and discover that Arnim Zola's mind still lives, in a way, in an underground computer. He was the Hydra agent and scientist from the first Cap film who performed super soldier experiments on Bucky. He turncoated and went to work for S.H.I.E.L.D. after the war, but in fact has always been supporting the Hydra agenda behind the scenes. Cap realizes that Hydra lives and is as strong as ever, having gestated in the belly of S.H.I.E.L.D. for decades. And Pierce is one of its senior members. Robert Redford as a bad guy? Mind blown. Side note number 2, this tied directly into the Marvel TV series Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which saw its status quo upended as Agent Coulson and his crew realized that Hydra was everywhere within their ranks. But back to Winter Soldier. Cap and Black Widow return to Washington, D.C., where they team with S.H.I.E.L.D.'s Maria Hill, an ex-para-rescue man with wings who will call the Falcon, and a not-so-dead Nick Fury. He got better. With Pierce about to launch Project Insight, a 3-way battle goes down. Cap disables the helicarriers and takes on his brainwashed friend Bucky. The Falcon faces off with Agent Rumlow, and Black Widow leaks S.H.I.E.L.D.'s classified database to the world in order to expose Hydra, while Fury takes out Pierce. With S.H.I.E.L.D. in pieces, Cap and the Falcon decide to track down Bucky. Fury goes underground to pursue Hydra, and Black Widow gets to act really cool in front of a Senate subcommittee. Meanwhile, off in the secret Hydra lab, Baron von Strucker is seen experimenting on 2 prisoners, the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. An age of miracles has begun, he says. This will no doubt come into play in the summer of 2015 when Avengers Age of Ultron closes out Phase 2. But first comes Guardians of the Galaxy, which truly takes the Marvel Cinematic Universe to the final frontier of a talking raccoon with guns. It's gonna be awesome.
Oh, yeah.